Hello, and welcome to Tomversations, the monthly conversation with me, your host, Tom Hollingsworth, on a variety of technical subjects. I like to think through some ideas and have a virtual conversation with each and every one of you out there in the community. That's why we call it Tomversations. Today, I'd like to revisit a non technical subject that a lot of people out there are facing right now that maybe you haven't quite thought about in a while, but is something you might want to be putting on your plate for the rest of 2022. And that's mentoring, specifically coaching and mentoring. But before we get into that, I have a question for you. Are you overworked? Do you feel like you're doing 3 or 4 jobs at your company right now? Wearing all the hats is the common parlance. Well, you're not alone. Thanks to the pandemic and thanks to the great resignation and a lot of other challenges in the job market, we are severely understaffed. And those of us who are still here doing the work, keeping the lights on, are keeping the lights on in several different rooms all at once. Feels like it's a never ending battle. And we know that if we can just make it another week or another month, we're going to bring somebody on board to take care of all those challenging things that we have to deal with every day. So let's say that we do. Let's say that we bring that junior person on. We're onboarding them to the team, and maybe they came in with no skill set or a very minimal skill set because all of the people who have the very perfect skill set for the job we want them to do have already been hired by some other company and they're making tons of money. Are you going to be the person that's going to help them out? Are you going to be the one to kind of show them the ropes and help them understand the environment and get them comfortable with what they're doing? Okay, let's just say that you are. You're mentoring them, right? Are you though? I think we're actually using that term incorrectly. We say mentoring a lot, but we're not actually doing that. So let's break it down real quick so that everybody knows what I'm talking about. When you are teaching someone something, one of the best models that is used for this is called the EDGE method, EDGE. Explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable. Explain is pretty easy. We tell them what we're doing. Enable is pretty easy. Let's see if you learned what you're doing. It's that middle part where things get a little creative. So let's say we're demonstrating to them. I'm going to show you how to do this task. Most everybody knows how to do that, right? It's the typical IT nerd of move over and let me do this for you. Just watch along and take notes. Guiding. Okay, I want to see if you got it right. So do this and show me that you have all of the skills. Okay, they sound pretty similar, right? What if I told you that those two things, one of them is mentoring and one of them is coaching? Would you be able to tell the difference between the two? Coaching is a very loaded word because as soon as I said it, you pictured a middle-aged man either in a uniform or in a polo shirt and slacks or possibly even a suit sitting on the sideline of a sports arena with a group of very well-paid individuals around him that form a sports team, right? Yes, that person is a coach. That person provides coaching. But what that person is doing is a form of coaching. So the first thing you have to do is divorce yourself from the idea that coaching involves putting on khaki pants and yelling at people when they don't run the right offense. Coaching, at its essence, is teaching someone the skills that they need to be able to perform their role correctly. Okay? It's a very hands-on process. It's a very formal process. Starting to sound a little bit familiar to you? I thought so. Coaching is what we do when we're onboarding a junior member of our team. Hi, welcome to the team. Here's the roles and responsibilities that you have to do. That means that when you need to do this, you're going to log into this system and you're going to run this report. And when it's finished, you're going to put it in a PDF file and you're going to email it off. And that needs to happen the second Thursday of every month. okay, when we go to log into this system, you're going to use your username and password, and then you're going to elevate privilege, and you're going to do this. And when you're finished, you're going to write up an after action report and put it in the system. I mean, even when we do the video editing for these episodes, I have a workflow that I use, and that's the workflow that I use to teach the people that help me do this. Straightforward, right? What happens when people ask questions? Well, it's usually going to be a very task-focused question. Okay, so when I download the footage, I need to import it and I need to use these assets. Now, where does the song go in the outro or the intro? Task-focused. You're helping someone do the very basic elements that they need to do in order to be able to complete their job, whether it's editing a video or configuring a route in a system or learning how to run the triangle offense. That is coaching at its heart. It is a short-term thing. I'm showing you what you need to do to be able to get things done. Okay? So already we can see that what we've been doing all of these years when we say that we're mentoring someone is actually coaching them. So what is mentoring then? Mentoring is a long-term assessment of your goals and how you can attain them. It's more hands-off. It is very much informal and casual. I want you in your head to picture someone in your job, in your work career or your professional life that you would consider a mentor. Okay? Do you have that person's head pictured in your mind? What their face looks like? You probably do. How long have you known that person? How long did you know that person? I bet you it was more than a month. I bet you it was more than 3 months. I bet you it was more than 2 years. True mentors build a long-term relationship with you. It's focused on your growth and not on your tasks. It's focused on the future, not the present. Actual, true, real mentoring is something that the person who is mentoring you may not necessarily see for a long time. Okay. So what's the difference between the two? What is it that makes this such a difficult distinction to draw? Well, the first thing is that we are constantly falling down and saying that we're mentoring when we're in fact coaching. And I think I know why that is. Like I said before, coaching has a very specific, not only denotation, but connotation. The connotation, again, is polo shirt, khaki pants, whistle in your mouth, screaming at people because they let LeBron James dunk on you or something. I specifically have very negative memories of what I consider to be the coach archetype of people that I knew when I was growing up who would, get angry at the drop of a hat or couldn't teach people. And it took me a long time to unwind the fact that they were doing that. They were doing a very specific job of their own personality type that was instructing in skills. And again, that all comes down to growing up in a culture that is very focused on sports. But when we do this in a professional work setting, coaching is the term that is used for what we have been doing all of these years. So we want to default to mentoring because it sounds more important. It sounds more impressive. You know, coaches are a dime a dozen when you think about it. The coach on my kids' little league team is a coach. I am a mentor. I am someone that's trusted. So we've already overloaded the term and misappropriated it. But we're coaching because we're teaching people to do a job, right? What happens when they've learned all of those skills? What happens when they are capable of doing the role that they have been hired for? What happens to you then? Do you say, now that you've got it, I'm going to go off and do the rest of my work? Now that you have helped them figure out what they should be doing, is that the end of the conversation? Is that the end of the discussion that you're going to have with them? You're going to take them out to lunch in 3 months and find out how things are going? The answer to all of those is a no, or I have to think about it. Then you're not mentoring. What you're doing is you're training someone to take the role off of you and move on to the next job. And as I frequently said, there's no reason why you can't do that with something like an AI script, because if you're not checking up on people, if you're not continuing that conversation looking forward, then there's no point in calling yourself a mentor. Real mentoring, real, true, actual mentoring is, in the words of the sage of our time, Agent K of the Men in Black, I wasn't training a partner, I was training a replacement. If you're not willing to look at someone and identify the characteristics that makes them not only good at the role that they're filling, but what they could be doing in the future, then that is not something that I would consider mentoring. Think about it like this: investment. Coaching is a short-term investment for a short-term gain. I am teaching you skills, and in doing so, I don't have to do this job anymore. The payoff is immediate. You're going to get back time. You're going to get back sanity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Lord knows we could all use a little bit more sanity, especially in our professional careers. But you can immediately realize that. And when I say immediate, I think of that in the financial sense of, like within the next month or 2 months. But mentoring has a very long timeline. Mentoring requires you to take a slow approach to things. You are investing for the long term. Think of it like a bond instead of a stock certificate. The payoff for this could be 20 years down the road. And that, to me, is the heart of mentorship. A real mentor will see the potential for growth in you. Now, what that means is that not everyone needs a mentor. And it sucks to say that, because it makes me feel very, I don't know, choosy. It feels like an emergency room triage situation. But there are people that you have worked with in the past that they're going to fill that role, and that's it. And they may spend their entire career filling a role like that, or a role very similar to that. If you want to extend this to the current state of AI and network automation, that person's job is effectively a shell script or an AI algorithm. It's never going to grow much past where it is right now. Those are the people, quite honestly, that are the most worried for their jobs as we bring more and more automation and deep logic online. But there are those people who have growth capabilities. The people who get it, who understand it, who want to learn more, who crave spending extra time investigating new technologies. Or maybe there's someone that is hired in a junior role but starts assuming senior perspectives on things, or possibly even taking a leadership role. And we see this a lot where natural leaders kind of float to the top. And it takes a mentor that's willing to invest in them and bring those characteristics out in order to be able to help them grow to their full potential. But that also means one of two things. You have to be willing to recognize when that person has hit their ceiling and when they need to go somewhere else to grow further. My favorite analogy for this is the potted plant. If you plant something in your house in a potted plant, like a pot, that plant will only ever grow as big as the roots are capable of spreading out within that pot. So in order for it to grow larger, to be healthier, you have to transplant it to a larger pot or put it outside. If you're okay with the amount of growth that plant's going to have, like a bonsai tree, then never move it. But if you want it to grow big and strong and be something different, then yeah, you're going to have to move it. And that means recognizing in people that maybe it's time for you to move to a different position. Maybe it's time for you to do something else. I've noticed that even though you're good at networking, you really have an aptitude for security. So I think if you want to pick up those skills, you're going to have to move over to this role. And that means moving off of my team. And I'm going to miss you, but I want you to be better. I want you to grow. And that kind of investment, both from a professional perspective and from an emotional perspective, is not something that you can give out to everyone. Remember when I asked you before to picture the person that you consider to be a mentor in your professional or personal life? Has that mentor ever said things to you like, I don't know how much more I can teach you? Or man, you are growing so fast. I can't wait to see where you go from here. Or it's sad to see you go, but I'm so happy to see the role that you're taking. Those are mentorship behaviors. Those are people recognizing that they've imparted all of the knowledge that they can to you and that the sky is the limit from here. And I've had a number of those people in my career, just like everybody else. While it's sad when you get to the point to realize that you've eclipsed the person that's been mentoring you, you also have to realize that that is part of growth. Because just as you have eclipsed their ability to give you skill sets and to teach you things, so too will the person that you've invested your time and energy and effort into one day will eclipse you. And that is the true reward of mentorship, to see that investment grow beyond your wildest dreams and to be able to point at someone one day and say, I remember when you didn't know anything and I helped you, and now look where you are. If you're willing to make the investment, if you're willing to move forward with them, then mentorship is the right way to go. And there's nothing wrong with coaching. Everybody needs to be coached from time to time, whether it's learning a new job function, whether it's taking on a new role at a different company. We're all going to need to be coached. We don't need whistles. We don't need clipboards. We don't need an offensive scheme for the ages. We just need to learn the skills and the tasks, and we need to make sure that we're imparting that knowledge correctly. But so too, mentorship is something that can be coached. You can teach people to be better mentors to those around them. Select those skills that allow you to recognize the true potential in people and help them grow to the place that they can be. And if you do that, when someone else watches this video years from now, and I ask that question, picture somebody in your professional or personal life that you consider to be a mentor. Your face will be the one that they're thinking of. Thank you very much for tuning in for this episode of Conversations. I love being able to impart these soft skill type things to my audience because too often we focus on tech for the sake of technology. And we forget that there are a lot of other things involved because, after all, we are not AI scripts. We are human beings, and we have emotions, and we have minds, and we have skills that we need to work on that are more than typing and business email tone. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you've taken something away from it. And honestly, I hope that every one of you strives to be a better mentor for the people around you, not just a coach, but a mentor, investing in the success of the team members that you see the potential for growth in. If you'd like to see more videos in the Tomversations series, please make sure you check out our website at gestaltit.com or our YouTube channel at youtube.com/gestaltitvideo. We're into season 3 now, so we have a lot of episodes that you can go back and watch around a variety of technical topics. We also have a lot of other great technical subjects on our website, coverage of briefings. We have a lot of great videos on our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to be in the know when we release new content, please make sure that you sign up for our mailing list. It's the easiest way for us to get in touch with you when we have new things that you want to check out. I'll see you next month for another episode of Tomversations. And if you have any suggestions for topics that you'd like to see covered, please make sure you hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Networking Nerd, or you can tweet at GestaltIT and use the hashtag Tomversations. We'll see it, and maybe it'll be something that you and I can have a conversation about.